Hey, we are live. Right. Hi, everybody. Not sure if everyone is out there yet. I'll just wait a few seconds, see if anyone hops on. So last time I chatted all about Jupiter direct and everything that can mean coming up for astrology. And I just want to know if, thank you very much. Just want to know if you guys have any questions. Is there anything about astrology you want to know? Just throw it out there. Ask me astrology, numerology, a little bit about tarot. Yeah. So hi, guys. Yeah, just to say, if any of you are hopping on right now, if you see this, please ask me any questions. This is all for you guys to say, do you have anything you want to know about your star sign, about compatibility, and I will even do your chart live if you give me your birth date and birth time. So a lot of people wonder, what is this whole thing with astrology and the birth time? Well, it's because, we all know our star sign based on the day of the year we're born, but it's also important to have your time of birth and your place of birth because this determines your ascendant. And this is why we're all so different. So, people rightly criticize astrology and say, how can everyone born, in that sort of April period who's an Aries be the same? And the thing is, well, they're not, right? Everyone is different. And that's because we're all pretty much born different places, different times. But sure, if you were born at the exact same time in the same hospital as someone else, then you are going to have quite a few similarities with them. But that's where the whole thing with choice comes in as well, because everything with astrology is about chance, not choice. So you will have, hi, Adam. Glad to see you've hopped on. Do you have a question for me? Crazy Duo, do you have a question? I don't know where you type it, but I assume there's some mechanism where you can type it. Hello, Abu Hisham, hi. Great to see you all. Hope you're all having a good evening where you are now that Jupiter's gone direct. But just bear in mind, Mars still has to go direct at the end of this month, and then things will start picking up because Mars retrograding Cancer was a real pain. In fact, it was a downer. It's such a pacifying force. Just saying to all you guys hopping on, if you have any astrology questions, try me out, test me, see how you do. I've been in this a long time, And for me, astrology has also been a kind of a journey, cliched, right? It was a love-hate relationship with it because it wasn't something that I really set out to say, oh, this is going to be my career. It was something that I more fell into. And there were so many times when I tried to walk away from it and I did other jobs. And every time I walked away from it, it came back and got me. It was like an opportunity arose or someone wrote to me, said I would do a chart, and then I was back in again. And, that's why it's so important. What's meant for you in life won't pass you by. And I get a lot of ladies that write to me with on the apps that I'm on, and they're so kind of anxious about when will they meet the right guy, And I always say to them, they say, have I missed him? Did something happen and I threw away a good relationship? Did I miss him? And I always say to them, it doesn't work like that. You don't tend to miss people because if it's meant for you, it'll come for you. Do you want to hear a little story that absolutely verifies that what's meant for you won't pass you by? Because I've got a little story. I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay. Now, about ages ago now, about 27 years ago, we moved into a new house. And on the day we moved, someone came selling raffle tickets to win a car. And the car was a green Volkswagen Polo, right? And I'd always liked Volkswagens, and I entered the raffle. Totally forgot about it. I kept the tickets. A few weeks later, there was a knock on the door and my mom answered, and someone said that I'd won the car, right? And at that stage, we'd had all these kind of nuisance people knocking at doors, being a real pain in the neck. And my mom thought it was a scam, and she told them to go away. And they refused to go because they said, well, where's your daughter? She's won this car, right? And my mom insisted that they were just pulling her leg or trying to pull a scam on her. She sent them away, and I never got the car. But 5 years later, in a place in England called Leamington Spa, they opened a new wing to their shopping centre, and they were giving away, again, it's a Volkswagen Polo. This time it's yellow, which is kind of a lucky colour for me because it's a colour that's always reoccurred points in my life. So I entered this competition, and guess what? I won the damn car. I won a beautiful yellow Volkswagen Polo. So although I lost out 5 years before when I won the green one, I ended up winning the yellow one. It was even kind of better and sweeter. So sometimes you miss out, but things come back round to you, and it's almost sweeter and better the second time around. And that's the way with me. although I walked away from astrology so many times, it was always where I came back to because the opportunity, so something drew me back into it. So I think it was meant for me, although I didn't always see it that way along the time. So that's why it's important, guys. Just always keep trying in life. Keep trying new things, but don't always discard things you've done in the past, because maybe they weren't meant at a time in the past, but they are meant at a time now, because astrology goes in cycles, right? By the way, for any of you joining, I am answering any questions. So if you can get a question in here, or any feedback that you want me to answer on astrology, please do so. I was just kind of chatting about all the reasons why we should always, maintain hope, because life is unpredictable. That's particularly to do with planet Uranus. It's going to hit us all at some time, right? And we all have our cross to bear. Sometimes another question I get from clients is my chart lucky or is it unlucky? Oh, swipe right. Okay, I have to swipe right to see comments. It's not working right now. Okay. Aha, comments. Okay. Join. Right, okay. I assume I'm going to see some of your comments here. So people say, are there lucky charts and are there unlucky charts? It's true in a way. Some people will have better aspects to Jupiter, or Jupiter more prominent in their chart, which is the lucky planet, right? Or possibly they have Venus, which brings more harmony and sort of an easygoing feel into their chart. That can give them luck. And then others of us, like in my case, I've got Saturn square Pluto. It's quite a heavy aspect. It's quite draining. It can often mean you're up against obstacles, and that's not perceived as lucky. But usually people have a combination. So they have some of the unlucky ones with Saturn, Pluto, maybe some lucky ones like I have with the Sun sextile Jupiter. So you get a combo. But I find in people that have really like easy charts, they have a lot of trines, which are seen as pretty lucky, and sextiles, they somehow don't push themselves as far and they don't get as much out of life. Whereas people who have the more like hashtag difficult charts tend to have a lot more chutzpah, gumption, they work harder, and they end up creating something really fantastic for themselves, because adversity often brings out the best in us. Whereas people who have these so-called like lucky charts can be a bit lazy, but complacent. They kind of aren't challenged enough earlier in life, and therefore later in life they just aren't battle hardened. There's a big thing. I'm sure your grandparents also told you that life is like the school of hard knocks and everything's a learning experience. And I remember my great uncle saying to me, you don't stop learning till the day you die. And it's so true. Everything that happens to us is about learning. And so therefore every good experience and bad experience should teach us something. And I always say to people, it tends to be the bad experiences that teach us a lot more. So when something's fun and just went really easily, you don't think about it, you don't process it, you don't question it, it doesn't hurt you, so you tend to just move on for it. Whereas if you had like a really bad experience or with a person or a certain activity and you had a lot of hardship, you're more likely to soul search about that, to dwell on it and to get something out of it. You will learn. And we only tend to learn the hard way. Another thing that I can use as an example from my own life is at school I was really good with the mathsy subjects like sciences. They came quite easily to me. English was some subject I dreaded. I mean, I enjoyed exams, right? I found it easy, but the one exam I hated was creative writing. I mean, I really sweated before that exam. I was like, I went into there feeling like hopeless. Like, what the hell am I going to write about? I don't know what to do this exam. How the hell am I going to come up with some interesting story under pressure, in an hour or two or whatever you had to write? I hated that. And then along the time, I remember once I even failed that exam. I think I got like 37% for my English creative writing. I was like, then I found a great teacher, and she said, look, you really do have talent in writing, but you're going about it all the wrong way. And then funnily, it happened at the time. I had my best friend, Julie, was a very good writer, and I learned a lot of tips from her. And suddenly I began to enjoy it. And then later in life, many years later, I have written 3 novels, which, I mean, if you're looking for a good page turner, I've got a couple of my novels on Amazon. Well, my best one's called Next of Sin. It's like an international thriller, but it became something that I was so good at and enjoyed. But for school, English was such a hardship for me, and yet it ended up being something I do now all the time because I write my astrology and I write a lot of astrology books and also write the novels, and I enjoy it. It comes easy to me and it's great. So anything like you might be struggling with could actually become your greatest asset because you work on it. Meanwhile, all those mathsy things that really came easy and were good at, I really don't use them. Never think about them, not interested in them. But the English served me really well. So I think there's lots of lessons. That's why I say hardship in the chart is fertile ground in which to develop both skills, perseverance, and you feel such an achievement when you overcome those obstacles. And that is what astrology is about. So when they say, is it luck, to have good luck, to have bad luck, you really make your own luck. And that's something Gary Player, who was a very famous South African golfer, I mean, he's still alive, actually. He's old now, he's Scorpio. And he said to make your own luck. And it's absolutely true. Luck is about an attitude. And another thing is people talk a lot about positivity. And there's a lot in that, but it's not like magical. I'm not really one of those positivity gurus who always say, oh, you've got to be upbeat, you've got to do your mantras, you've got to send out positive thoughts. You shouldn't force it. I find that can be unnatural. You have to really feel the positivity. If you're having a bad day, sometimes you really need to indulge in the blues, right? Marinate in some morose, if that's what you have to do. Because emotions can be a bit like an elastic. You can stretch it like this, but it springs back into shape. And if you allow yourself sometimes to get a bit down and to have a bit of a freak out, that's like when the elastic's really stretched, and then it can kind of jump back into shape and you feel that positivity. So sometimes, so many people will tell the story about how they touched rock bottom and then they went up. Sometimes you really do have to touch rock bottom to have that bounce. And you do actually have that bounce. Positivity can't be forced. So if positive thinking and all those mindfulness things don't work for you, maybe it's because you're denying your toxic emotions. Maybe you need to visit with them. Feel them, get angry, go in your car by yourself where you can scream and shout and no one can hear you or arrest you or take you away in a white coat if they think you're mad, and just let it all out. I find sometimes music is a good way of, you just put your earphones on so it's totally private. You play a song that's really emotional for you at high volume and the emotions come out. You might cry, you might feel ecstasy, but it helps those emotions to rush through you. So you don't want to force the positivity. But, obviously being positive works because if you have a positive attitude generally, you're more likely to take risks. Now, another reason why some charts might be perceived as lucky is if you have a lot of Uranus and Jupiter, you're far more likely to take risks. And people who take risks will have a fair amount of luck because sometimes it kind of goes with them and they'll get that opportunity. So luck in charts like that sometimes comes from the fact that these people go out, knock on doors and take the off chance. And that's why it's always important to remember in life that I'm not saying gamble or do the lottery because obviously those are massive odds against you. But sometimes, just send your CV into something even though okay, look, it's really unlikely I'm going to get this job because I'm not really qualified. Sometimes things are just on your side. And because you made that move, where the odds were against you, it often plays in your favor. Now, I always say that one of the signs that I tend to find astrology works best for is Aries. And the reason it works best for Aries is because Aries are always pushing for something to happen. In a football match, if you guys have watched a lot of football, sometimes you get teams that just sit back. Oh my God, England can be like this terribly. In fact, they always like this. They always slip back into defense. They're attacking for 5 minutes and the rest of the game in defense. I'm sure you all know a team like that. And often in life, when you are attacking a situation, opportunities open up, just as they do in football. Suddenly, that break in play happens and you can make a run, score that goal. But if you're playing in defense all the time, it builds up this negativity and you end up being pushed further and further and further back, and then the other team scores. So why Aries tend to be lucky as a sign is they're always on the attack. They're always looking for the next thing and pushing forward. Whereas signs like Taurus is the most passive sign. Now, Taurus is both fixed sign It's ruled by Venus, which can be a bit lazy, and it's also an earth sign. So Taurus is the most passive of all signs. Now, because Taurians tend to be very receptive and have quite a diplomatic nature, they can attract luck in that way. They have great powers of attraction, but so many times Taurus are slow to start, slow to succeed, slow to make things happen because they're not always pushing. They take far too much of a passive role. So for all you Taurus out there, so important to learn to push that envelope, right? To keep making demands of yourself. Now, other signs that are pretty lucky are Leo. Now, if you were born on the 8th of August, it's Roger Federer's birthday. Charlize Theron is the 7th of August, but you'll find quite a lot of famous people are born on the 8th of August. And in August in generally, it's a very, very lucky time. Leos are quite lucky. And again, it's because they are extremely competitive. And while you do get shy Leos always have this underlying optimism and belief in themselves. So whatever sign you are, very important to kind of capitalize on that. I just want to say hi to Carl Mark, to Danny, Torrin, Ria Stansby. Hi, Torrin. Yeah. Miggy's not missing. TSJ Toner, Helen, Jake, Cherie. Brilliant to have you all here. This is only my second live. I have done lives on YouTube some time ago, but not for ages. So just wanted to answer. I haven't seen any questions come up, so I'm probably looking in the wrong place. But what I'll have to do is do a little TikTok search afterwards so that I make sure that I'm getting all my questions. So I was talking about lucky signs. So Leo, yeah, Sagittarius is known as kind of the daring, adventurous one. And they can be quite lucky, but Sagittarius, things tend to come in phases. They have lucky phases, and then they have other phases where they have to sort of lay off. Now, I do know Celine Dion's husband was, can't remember his name. I think he's a Lebanese guy. He's passed away now, something with an R. And he said, you've got to know when to ride your luck, and you've got to know when it's not your time, and you've just got to step back and not try anything. And that's what it's like with Sagittarius. When they feel, it's a bit like being a surfer. So when they feel the wave is coming in their favor, they have to really ride it. But at other times when the sea's flat, they've got to know this is not the right time, because Sagittarius is the sign of the gambler. And you know, sometimes gamblers have winning streaks and they have losing streaks. So if you're Sag, you have to kind of know when that losing streak is. And then you sit out that game and wait for your luck to come in again. So other lucky signs, let's have a look. What would I say? Gemini. Oh my gosh, Gemini are particularly lucky. And I think the key to the luck for Gemini is super curious and good communicators. Because something that has become one of the key factors for success in the last 30 years is communication. And Gemini are great salespeople. They're very good at marketing. They're very good at connecting with people, and they're not stubborn. They quickly know how to chop and change and keep it fresh and keep it interesting. So Gemini do tend to have a lot of luck. But I think they capitalize quickly on situations. They're highly mentally and physically mobile, and they don't dig themselves into a situation and then get stuck. So that's kind of also something to remember not to do. If we talk about Cancer have luck through their emotional intelligence, and that's where they're very good at reading people. But Cancer are also extremely emotional people, and they suffer through their emotions. They have a strong need to attach, but what a lot of people don't always acknowledge about Cancerians is their incredibly competitive side, which is why you'll get really rich Cancerians like Richard Branson. I think, it's George Soros. Elon Musk is a Cancerian, so those are just two examples of mega rich. I think some of the Rockefellers were Cancerians as well. I mean, if you look, these rich people are very, very often in the sign of Cancer. That's because they're not only good with money, but because they're extremely focused. It's a cardinal sign after all. So for all the kind of touchy-feely emotional side that a lot of people associate with Cancer, they are super competent, confident business people, and they have that emotional intelligence, sense of timing, which goes with the moon, and they also know how to pick that timing. They're very good on the timing aspect. Now, when it comes to Virgo, Virgo is not really a sign that I'd associate much with luck. I mean, Virgos succeed through their ability to focus on detail and be perfectionistic, but they can also be very incisive, right? They can nail something to the point. So they're very good at cutting through the BS. That's where Virgo are quite lucky. And Virgo, they don't suffer fools gladly. They know what they want from people. They're very good at sifting through people and sorting the wheat from the chaff. And this is where I feel Virgo are quite lucky, because you won't find Virgo being sort of patient or sympathetic with someone who is a bit of a I don't know, a bit of a crazy or something like that. And that's where Virgos have luck. They have what Gemini has of being observant, but Virgo's incredibly modest. So when you think of luck in terms of both relationships and making money, Virgos then don't have as much luck because they are very self-effacing, and they don't push hard enough. They tend to let things come to them, being an earth sign. But they are very successful in that way because of their honesty and their sincerity, which tends to make up for any reticence they have in pushing themselves. But if you're a Virgo out there, believe in yourself and demand more. I mean, don't let people take you for granted, right? Make sure you're not always giving far more than others. Keep being assertive, learn assertiveness, train yourself to be more demanding. Yeah, Libras, Venus rule sign, also pretty lucky, Librans. They succeed through their diplomacy and moderation because people love that they generally have a sense of manners and fair play. So Librans don't always win, but they are extremely tough. Maggie Thatcher, obviously, classic example of a Libra and tough but fair. I know she's a very divisive figure as well, which is the two sides of Libra, right? There's this side where you see them as being really interested in harmony, beauty, building bridges, and then they can also be incredibly hard-nosed and very decisive. The iron hand in the velvet glove. There's always something more to Libra than you expect. And Scorpio can have their fair share of luck as well. They are a very passionate side. I think key to Scorpio's luck is, can they connect with that passion? Do they understand what they're really good at? Because when Scorpio play to their strength, there's nothing like it, and they can succeed at anything they put their mind to. The other way Scorpios can be kind of lucky is that they have great mind power. So if they put their mind to anything, whether it's a health thing, a relationship thing, getting over a relationship, starting a business, they can do it because they believe in it. So if you're a Scorpio out there, understand that your luck comes through mental intensity and focus. Just getting your mind organized, incisive, and knowing what you want to achieve. Sometimes when Scorpio is a bit scattered, that's when they don't achieve, because they're not focusing, because all those passions are scattered all over the show. And sometimes Scorpio can be dragged into negativity through obsessions and through base emotions. But as long as they understand where they're going wrong, they can put anything right. Capricorn succeeds through perseverance and persistence. The symbol, as you know, for Capricorn is a goat that slowly but surely makes its way up that mountain, one little step at a time. And that's where Capricorn make their luck. They typify everything I told you about making their luck and patience. Your Capricorn luck comes from outlasting the competition. You are going to hang in for longer. You're going to stay the pace, and you're going to leave it all on the field. And Capricorns always have something in reserve, just a little bit of grit and determination. Aquarius, your luck is all about spontaneity, ingenuity, being inventive, and being a bit bohemian. Aquarius is a sign of people a bit way out, but kooky, right? And they are their luckiest when they stand out from the crowd, where they're just a free spirit who go along and do things that are totally in left field, out of the box. Aquarius live on inspiration. They cannot try and be a round peg in a square hole. So when you're in Aquarius, you're going to be far luckier when you are working on the periphery, doing things that are cutting edge, space age, thinking ahead and being ahead of your time, and where you don't try and be accepted. I mean, a lot of Geminis really like to be part of the group, part of the trend, and be accepted. As Aquarius, you should never aim to do that. That's not where your strength is. Your strength is being out there. And finally, Pisces. Piscean luck is in their use of imagination. They are the most able to access mind power through their ability to envisage, to understand emotion, to understand nuance, to understand trends, and also to be able to create with their mind. So when you're a Pisces, you should always be doing things that are based in being kind of highly creative, artistic, working with music, working with healing. In any time Pisces is involved in any enterprise that helps to heal another person, to bring joy, or to open up fantasy, is when they are lucky. So my message to you guys all is we all make our luck. And I've given you some ideas for each of the star signs, how you are naturally lucky through your personality, or whether you may just be lucky through the way you persevere or play to your strengths. But there's no real such thing as luck in a chart. And in fact, you should rather have a chart that has some difficult aspects, because it's so much more likely that you will create something through hardship. Hardship is the most powerful propellant of creativity, imagination. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and that's absolutely true, wise, and something always to remember. So whatever you're going through, you've always just got to understand what it teach you about yourself, your own resilience. Give yourself a lot of credit. No one pats themselves on the back enough. But look, we're all got here. Whatever age you are, you've survived this far. Look what you had to go through to survive this far. You're amazing. And you just got to keep believing in yourself and not trying to please others or live up to others. Don't ever fall foul of the shop window effect. A lot of people look on Facebook and people's lives look exciting and purposeful, looks like they're having success, looks like everything's going right. It's fake. It's like a shop window. People only put the best things in the shop window to attract other people and to impress the shoppers. If goods are damaged or broken or didn't sell, that's down there in the basement, or it's getting thrown away, right? So don't ever be sort of demoralized by the shop window effect with other people, because there's always far more to it. Everyone's got their cross to bear, and everyone has their good times and their bad times, and it's best just to focus on yourselves. Thank you to everyone. I can see loads of you joined. I'll be checking back after this, and hopefully next time we can take some questions, and yeah. But thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a little bit of inspiration as well. Have a wonderful Thursday evening, or wherever you are, Thursday night, Thursday afternoon, and I hope I'll see you all soon.